All right, should I give it an intro?
Yeah, let it rip.
What's up, guys? This is episode 3 of the Left to Right podcast. I'm Justin Seymour. You can find me online on Instagram and TikTok at Justin Seymour Golf. It's my man Honza. Go ahead.
What's up, guys? I'm Hanza. You can find me at Hanza Golfs on Instagram and on YouTube.
So, today we're going to do a cool episode. We're going to break down the top 10 things, or I guess tips that you need to take a lesson, right? So,
hmm
there's a lot of people who say, oh, I get nothing out of golf lessons. I feel like I don't really improve even though I keep taking lessons. So we're both coaches. We've both seen a lot of different clients and a lot of different people come through. And there are some people who get a ton of progress out of lessons and some people who don't. And this is
Yeah,
just kind of some stuff that we've noticed that is kind of some common denominators between the people who get a lot out of it versus not. So we hope this will be kind of helpful for you guys, and hopefully you can learn something and just kind of we'll talk through our experience and we'll go from there. So I guess we can get started here. We're going to do top 10. We might do part 1 or 2. It depends on how long this takes us. We'll see. But we're just going to start number 10, and we're going to kind of go all the way down to 1. So do you want to start us off with the first one here?
yeah. So coming in at number 10, I'm gonna throw the some text up here. It's gonna look cool, or maybe I won't. And it won't look cool. But uh, so coming in at number 10, we got choose a coach who measures and uses video. Uh, I think it's super important, especially in today's age where like we have access to this stuff. Like, like everybody's got a smartphone in their pocket. There's no reason why you shouldn't be measuring, you shouldn't be recording. So you have like it's black and white. I think it's super important. You can kind of give people like visual goals, and and then they can check them to see if they hit them, and that's just like using like a smartphone or something like that. I think there's like no reason why not to. Um, there's some people that don't use it, right? That they don't even use cameras and they just kind of like tell their clients what to do, and sometimes I think that can work, but like personally, I want to know like what's my goal for the lesson. Like if I was gonna take a lesson, I'd want to know like, hey, what am I trying to do? If I'm trying to make a swing change or something like that, and I don't just kind of want to go off of like, oh, that looks good or that doesn't look good, because then how am I gonna verify it like myself, you know? Um, but then also like stuff like TrackMan, I think has helped so much with like giving lessons because uh, like for example, I had a client that was hitting up on his like pitching wedge, like kind of just like scooping it and being able to say like, hey, we need to get this angle of attack down. Uh, if I was just to like say that to him, he wouldn't really have like some sort of like concept to go. He's like, okay, I need like smack into it more. Like he wouldn't really know if he did it right or did it wrong. Like, and just having like the TrackMan there, we're like, okay, this one he was -1. Okay, that's what that felt like. And then we got one to like -3, and so we're like, we have instant feedback on the previous shot from the TrackMan, and we know like uh, right away if he's like doing it or not. And if I didn't have that there, and if I wasn't recording, then I would have like no sort of like baseline. I would have no idea like if he actually hit more down on it or not. Uh, so I think they're just super useful tools, and yeah, what do you think, Justin?
Yeah, so that's obviously some good points. And I think that a good thing is we're not only going to give you guys things to look for or things to do yourself, we're also going to hopefully help you kind of spot when you might not be getting the coaching you deserve, because there's a lot of great coaches out there, but there's also a lot of not so great ones. And there's a lot of them that will actually kind of take advantage of you and like take advantage of your lack of knowledge. So this is kind of the one thing you can use to really prevent yourself from that sort of thing from happening. So it's like if I told you to get your arm in a certain position, but if you never have any way of checking if you're really getting there or visualizing it yourself, you don't really know if you're doing it, right? Now,
Yeah,
it's one of those things where a lot of coaches kind of it's a way you can check and you guys can be on the same page, because sometimes they'll say, I want you to get in this position, but who knows if you're really doing it or not. So that's a good way that you can also make sure that you're getting the coaching you deserve, I guess, right? Because there's I'm sure you've seen a lot of coaches out there where they sit in the range and they'll say, all right, I want you to feel this. And then every time they hit a good shot, they go, oh,
yeah,
that's good.
perfect. Yeah.
And every time it's a bad shot, they say, more, do some more. And you never know what's going on. And you sit there and you're watching them give a lesson. You're like, dude, that's not what's going on at all. Like, it's a scam. Like, I see a lot of that stuff where it's just like, you can learn how to, like, give somebody a golf lesson, like, very easily by doing that sort of thing. Now, is it going to be a very good lesson? Will they come back? I mean, who knows? Who knows? Maybe they would come back just because you have, like, some level of credibility, perceived credibility.
Yeah, but it's not like at the end of that lesson you could be like, hey, we had this goal. This is where we started. This is where we finished. Here's like a black and white video of where you started. Here's the video where you finished, and these are the changes that we made. This is what you need to work on to keep going, to keep that process moving forward, and and then what are you supposed to do when like you're practicing? You know, is like, what if you don't have like some sort of visual feedback or some sort of feedback besides just like what you're feeling, you know, like it's you know, when you actually go practice what you worked on that day, how do you even know if you're doing it right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, Tiger Woods, best golfer of all time, and he's notorious for talking about how feel versus real are way different. And he's the best golfer of all time and probably has the most body awareness of what's going on. He even said that when he would hit shots, he'd look at himself on video and say, that's not what I feel like I'm doing at all. So feel versus real are very different, and if you're not going to address both of them, it's pretty hard to make progress. And I think about golf, like I think that the golf industry, people make it into something different than it really is. But think about like any other industry. If you have a job in like finance, health, like if you're a lawyer, every single thing that you're doing, you have a specific goal you're trying to accomplish. And you can measure if you're doing it or not. But then for some reason, when golf comes around, people throw it out the window. They think that they can just take a lesson and they think that, oh, I'm going to have a perfect swing. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you want to be successful, you kind of have to have a certain goal and have to have a way of measuring it, really. Because otherwise, that's how you know if you're making progress, right?
100%. I actually had a coach tell me the opposite. You know, their swing is so bad they don't want to see their swing, and it's like, I get your perspective, but that seems so wild to say. You know, like
I've heard that before too.
Like, okay, well, maybe if they saw their swing, they would like work on it. Like, it just seems like a crazy point to make. But
cool. Should we go on to the next one then? Kind of move on a little bit.
We go to number 9?
Yeah, let's do it. So,
all right,
we just kind of alternate here. So, number 9 would be to focus on exactly what.
Hit with a nice intro, dog. Be like, coming in at number 9.
Coming in at number 9 of the top 10 list here. Most important list you ever hear in your life is focus on exactly what the coach is telling you to focus on. So, when I do my lessons, and every coach is different, but I think of the goals. I have either a specific technique goal I want you to get done or a specific ball flight goal I want you to get done. And the problem is when people get into trouble is when they start mixing those. So when somebody's trying to work on their technique, but they get too caught up in, oh, my ball's going left. That's not what you should be focusing on right now. We're just trying to get some technique done. We can get the ball flight done later, but if we can just get some technique done first, it'll help you get to that point. Because obviously the ball flight's what's most important, right?
Yeah.
And then the opposite is true. Sometimes you just gotta, if you're a slicer of the ball, you just got to see your ball hook. And I don't even care how you do it. I just want you to see your ball hook because that means your body's going to start doing some good things, right? So if your whole goal of the lesson is, hey, I want to get you to see your ball start drawing, I can make you do some weird stuff. I can make you start flipping and I can make you start whipping it inside just as long as you can get that to happen and then you can fix it later. And then I think that's just kind of it's very difficult to master both at once, right? Especially for a beginner. If you're an advanced player, obviously, like, you can kind of do both at once to some degree. But especially if you're just trying to start off, then that's one of the biggest things. And that's the biggest thing that I see that holds people back is they have to work on things in their technique, but they won't keep doing it because they don't like the way that the ball flight it causes immediately, right?
Yeah. So I think you're spot on there. When you're trying to make a technique change, like it's you got to ignore ball flight. Uh, and when you're working on ball flight, you probably don't want to have like five different swing thoughts, technique wise. But I think another important thing it would be actually work on what your coach is telling you to work on. Like I have some students where I'm like, hey man, do this, and then he'll message me and he'll be like, I just did it like 1,000 reps a day for like 5 days straight, just like nonstop. I'm like, fuck yeah, like that's awesome. And then I'll see somebody after like a week or two, and I'll be like, "Hey, man, so how's it going? Like the things that we talked about." And it's like, "Oh, right now I'm trying this, this, and this, and this." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not at all what we talked about."
Exactly.
And it's like, sure, we can work on like your swing again, but we're probably gonna just talk about the same things we talked about last time, and like they don't really make as much progress, and it's I think we live in a day and age where on social media you see so much swing tips and quick fixes, and people are like, oh, that could probably help me, or whatever, and so then they just jump from tip to tip to tip and give it a few seconds and try it, and it's like, what are you taking lessons for if that's what you're going to do, sort of thing. So I think, yeah, uh, during the lesson, pay attention to what the instructor is saying, and like uh, give it your all that way. But even after, if you get some like homework, like stick with it for a bit, and try to do it instead of jumping from concept to concept.
Totally. I had one of my friends' dad is he had a separate TikTok account that he would watch on the way to the golf course, and he would watch videos on the way to the course before he played, and then he'd try out different ones on the course.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that funny? Yeah,
How did that go for
it's funny, but you're 100% right there. And then I'm also one of those people too where it's not like it's everyone's different. It's not one of those things where it's like, okay, like I want you to spend 2 months working on the same thing. Like if
hmm
you actually practice it and work on it, it shouldn't take you that long. That's the other
hmm
thing. It's like if it takes you 2 months of like an hour a day working on the same thing, then you're probably doing something wrong. It
hmm
should take you probably like 15 minutes of like focused practice for like 5 days. And then
hmm
like, it should be a lot different, right? Now that's still what? I mean, that's a little more than an hour in total, but it's
You,
focusing.
you would say 15 minutes for 5 days, and you could like take it out on the course.
Exactly, right?
Okay.
And it depends. Everyone's so different. Like, and then it's one of those things too where it's like, there's a lot of coaches and everyone is different, but
hmm
there's a big debate in golf instruction that people have. It's like, should you just like play and not even think about your swing, or should you try to think about your swing and change your swing on the course? Right? I'm sure people talk about that sort of thing,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And I find it's interesting is if your goal when you're playing is to shoot the best score you ever can, it's probably not great to be thinking about your swing technically a bunch, right? You could have one little tweak or two that you're trying to work on.
yeah.
And there are good players who know how to adjust on their course, and they can actually like adjust their swing on the course, and that's a real thing. Some players are good at it, some players are not. It doesn't really, but you know what I mean. But if you're
Mhm.
actually trying to like make a swing change that sticks for good, then what I would recommend doing is I would go on the course 5 o'clock at night and there's no one on the course or wherever, and I would just play and try to make the swing happen and see even if you lose some balls or don't shoot a good score,
Do,
actually see if you can make the swing you're trying to make on the course. If your goal is to make the swing change stick, right? And now we're kind of bleeding into some different topics here, but
do,
that
you-
would be
do you think that's because like the pressure is different on the course, or just the environment keeps changing? It's not like the same shot over and over.
absolutely.
So
I think
so
that's
people sort of
the
like,
biggest thing. Yeah,
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
I think it's like, I mean, golf is one of those sports where it's like the way that we practice versus the way we play is nothing alike. Like if you're trying to play basketball and practice basketball, like you can play a pickup game. Like it's pretty close to playing like a game, right? Obviously, there's no
Mhm.
crowd, but like there's no reps, but like it's pretty close. You know what I mean? But hitting a golf ball on the range where you got 50 more sitting next to you into a wide open field or even into a screen versus hitting the ball on the tee with everybody watching you when you've only got one chance and there's water left and out of bounds right and you're playing for $10. There's nothing. It's not even close. So like you're
Right.
like neurologically, it's way different. I mean, might not be the right word, but you get my point. Is that your brain interprets it way differently and it reacts differently too. So that's a very important factor, I would say. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah.
All right. So let's hit him with number 8. Coming in at number 8 on the list. Be an active student. Ask questions. The lesson is more of a dialogue. It shouldn't be a coach, me or Justin, talking at you the whole time. It's a back and forth. That you need to make sure that you understand what the coach is saying. So uh, one cool thing I really learned from George, and honestly watching you quite a bit, is you guys ask quite a bit. Does that make sense? That question, and that's such a brilliant question to ask, because it's like, hey, like, here's this concept, like, you got it, or do we need to break it down a little bit, or like, and just like stopping throughout the lesson, even like as a coach, just like giving space for like some feedback, some back and forth, some questions to be asked, some things to be cleared up, I think is super important. But like also as a student, ask questions when even if maybe that space isn't given. Like ask questions if something doesn't make sense. Uh, it's not ideal to just kind of like nod along and then spend your money and not really understand what's going on.
Totally. Like this is one of those things where it's you think about it in terms of school, right? I mean, it's funny because like there are people in my life who are actual like school teachers, and it's funny to hear
Hmm.
the difference between like teaching golf versus being a school teacher. And like that's something you hear a lot of teachers in school talk about when they're teaching. They do tests to make sure that you're paying attention, you understand what's going on, right? They would never
Yeah.
just sit there and talk at you for 6 hours and never explain that. You know what I mean? Or not explain it. Never make sure that you're understanding what's going on. So it's like
Right.
if you want to get the best experience, it has to be much more of a dialogue because the worst lessons for me are when I'm sitting there talking to somebody and they just, yep, yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
You're
then
not sure.
and this is the funniest thing is I picked up this from George too. Is if you got a kid or somebody, and this is what I do all the time, and I'd see George do this all the time, is I'd explain something to me or I would explain something to a kid and I would say, all right, explain that to me. Explain to me what you did, what I just told you. And 80% of the time it gets, I don't know. But
Yeah.
sometimes the kid actually gets it. So it's like I had this one 11-year-old kid where I said, all right, we're working on some pretty advanced stuff for an 11-year-old. And I said, hey, can you explain to me what I told you? And he did it. And I was like, that's pretty impressive because now most kids don't do that. I told his mom, I said, hey, like that's pretty cool because
Hmm.
most kids is in one ear out the other, right? And I'll say it to, it might be a little patronizing to say it to an adult, but I'd say it to my kids all the time. Is I'll say, hey, explain that to me. Explain this to me. And it, like you said, it should be a dialogue. And that's one of the biggest things is like you have to understand why something is happening. I know I'm bleeding into some other topics, but you have to have a full understanding of what's going on for it to really stick. Because if you don't really fully understand the concept, it's probably not going to stick. It's probably not going to.
Right. Right.
So it has to be much more, of a, like you said, a dialogue and a collaborative thing.
So maybe that's a really good segue into the
Yeah.
next topic.
Cool. Yeah. Number 7. We need some graphics here. I always ask why. Because I basically just mentioned it there is if you understand why something's going on, then it'll stick a lot easier. Um, it's the same thing as like any other topic in life, really. I mean, there's a lot of things in school or anything in general that I didn't pay attention to. I went in one ear out the other, and I didn't really understand why it really could pertain to me. I didn't really
Hmm.
understand why I need to learn some formula in algebra. You know what I mean? So I don't remember that. You know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't pertain to me. Go ahead.
I think it also a good instructor should be always able to answer why.
Yeah, that's
Uh, and if they're not, then it's like that's probably not a good sign. Because like if he's telling you to do something, there should be a reason behind it. So like if I'm telling you to change your grip, it shouldn't be just because I think it looks better if you hold it this way. You know, that's not a good enough reason. There should be like, hey, it's going to affect the ball flight, or you do something in transition with your wrist, or whatever, and this matches up better. Uh, but you should always be able to ask why, and you should ask why. Any I don't think lessons are just there for you to like have some like supervised practice, but I think it's also like a knowledge sharing thing. Like so you're there to learn as well, and by asking why, you're gonna get the most out of it.
totally. Look, yeah, that's a great point. Is that shows that you have a as the instructor you have a pretty in-depth knowledge of the subject if you can understand why. And it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's a lot of coaches will just tell you to do something because it looks good or it fits into their model or it's like
Mhm.
just how they think the golf swing should be. And if you don't really feel like if you ask them why and they don't give you a great answer, then that's okay. It just means that maybe they're not the right coach for you, or maybe you just try it and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Mhm.
And that would be yeah, it's super important. Is you got to understand why stuff is going on. Otherwise, it's just hard.
Yeah. And I don't think a coach needs to know necessarily everything, but like how should I say this? Like if you ask me of a super specific question that's like why does the hip flexion need to be, I don't know, this many degrees when
Oh, come on, you should know that. I'm kidding.
right like why does it need to be this many degrees and why is this too many? It's like, man, like
Yeah,
it's a good question. Like I don't know. Like, like if because I honestly haven't measured hip flexion that much. In I know like visually what looks about right, and I can compare it to other swings where it looks right, but I haven't like, and it's like how are you measuring it? Are you measuring it like using like the femur versus like midline, something like that, and getting like an angle? This is like super specific now, and maybe the people listening, you guys,
no, it's a good example
uh, but like if somebody were to ask me something about that, I think I wouldn't know exactly why it needs to be X angle or something like that, or what the angle needs to even be. And I think that's okay. But so I don't think just like not knowing an answer makes you like a bad coach. Um, but I think that the right answer from the coach should be, "Hey man, like I don't know, but that's let me look into that."
though.
It,
Exactly.
and it shouldn't just be, oh man, it should be like 42 degrees because that's what like you shouldn't bullshit the guy,
Exactly.
uh, or girl, whoever's taking the lesson. But yeah. Anyway, kind of
That's
went.
an awesome point. I was trying to think of the right way to say that, and you said that perfectly. It's that doesn't mean that you should know everything as a coach, but the best coaches are the ones who will look at you and they'll say, "Hey, I don't really know exactly why that is." You know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
know that Tiger Woods did it, and maybe it might work for you. And some people, that's enough of a reason to try it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
At the same time, it's like the golf industry as a whole knows a lot, and it's increased in its knowledge base a ton in the past 5 or 10 years. Like we know way more about the golf swing than we ever have, and there's golf instruction is way better than it used to be. But nobody really knows everything, and not even the golf industry as a whole knows everything. Obviously, there's so much conflicting information out there. So
yeah,
it's okay, and that shows that you're a good coach if you're willing to say that. Because a lot of coaches have such an ego that they'll never say that. They have to convince you that they know everything because
right, right.
that's the reason why they have value.
And and they can convince you because a lot of these people don't know. Like,
Uh-huh.
they don't know that the coach also doesn't know.
Exactly.
There's I had a lesson on this. I was like standing I wasn't even standing directly behind the guy because I was like walking off to the side. I can't even remember why, but dude smacks one off the heel, like it like licks the hosel a little bit, and like like sort of shanks one off to the side. He's like, "Why did I shank that one?" I'm like, "Dude, I have no idea." Like I didn't see the shot. I don't have it on video. Like if I were to give you an answer right now, like why you hit that one on the heel, and I don't know. Like you could have moved into it, could have released it weird, could have done a bunch of things, could have set up too close to it. Honestly, didn't see that whole shot enough to like give you a good answer.
So
Uh,
I see that
and
all.
and I don't know if everybody would have used that same opportunity. Could be like, oh, dude, that's because you did this, or to push like that what we were talking about earlier, when it's like, oh, you needed to do more of the thing that we're working on at this time, and because you didn't, you hit it off the heel. You
Exactly.
know.
Right. That's a
Um,
good one as well.
okay, so let's go to the next one. So number 6 on the list of how to take lessons. Um, Set real expectations. The lesson is the start and not always the finish. So what I mean by that is you go to one lesson, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're going to walk away shooting 65. Um, you should have goals for the lesson. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't like get better when you walk away from the lesson, but you got to put in work. And during the lesson, you could say, hey, let's try to get this grip change to feel more comfortable, or this ball flight goal, or this like setup change, or let's try to get this club in a little bit different position. Uh, and that's something that you could make your goal for the lesson, but the goals need to be realistic. It's not like you're gonna make a whole swing overhaul that's gonna stick in 45 minutes or in an hour. You know.
Yeah, that's a great thing because if you're and this is the way I think about it. It's like okay, if you shoot 100, there's nothing I could ever do to you in an hour that's going to take you from shooting 100 to shooting 70 to shape 30 shots. There's nothing I could ever do to you in this day and age with this technology, right? So a lot of people they don't expect that, but it's closer to that than you would think sometimes. Like they think, oh, I got it now, I'm good, and it's like you don't you have to work on that for a little bit for it to stick. Like you could come in for a lesson and learn everything there is about the golf swing, but if you never practice that exact thing you need to work on, it's never going to last. So I think that's a great thing. This is a good example for you guys, and I see the whole spectrum of people. And some people are great. Some people understand that like intuitively because they understand it through like different sports or different like things in life they've done. But some people don't, and like it's kind of cool to hear this. So there's a guy, Kyle Hogan. He's one of my buddies, and we've been working a little bit. And he's playing in Q school tomorrow or 2 days from now. And we're working on his wrist angles a little bit because he's a lefty and he misses it a little bit left sometimes. And
Okay.
he has a lot of extension, not a lot, but he has some extension of his lead wrist. And then he shallows it. He has a ton of forearm rotation and shallows it a lot. And everything looks real good, but his face is just a hair open, and he tries to square it a little late. Now, he's an awesome player. He hits the ball as good as anybody I've seen, really. But he does occasionally, like once around or twice around, he'll get some left balls. So we're just trying to work on some little things to mitigate that. So he worked on alignment too because he started to set up a little funky. So once we got his alignment good, we were talking about wrist angles, and he looks at me, and he's got tournaments. He's playing for his livelihood, and he looks at me, and this guy's the best golfer like I've played with, really, honestly. I mean, there's other guys who are pretty good too, but he looks at me and he says, "Hey, I'm just going to work on this every day, a little bit each day until it feels comfortable for a couple weeks." And this
Mhm.
guy, I mean, he is at the highest level, really, and
Mhm.
that's his attitude. Is he said, "Hey, I'm just going to work on these wrist angles a little bit each day until it feels good." And you know what happened is yesterday he sent me a video before Q school, and it looks so much better. And
Nice.
it's not like he's trying to make one huge change at once. He's just like, you know what, I'm just going to work on this a little bit each day until it sticks. And that's probably part of the reason why he's as good as he is because he understands that, and not a lot of
Yeah.
people do.
Yeah, I think the better players tend to understand these sort of concepts, like what it takes, because they've already put in so much work.
That's why they're good.
Yeah, yeah. It sometimes like breaks my heart in a way to when there's like some new people starting golf, and they're like I heard you're a good coach, like hopefully you can make me good. I'm like, yeah, I hope so too. But this is like a like a symbiotic relationship. I'll say it like in a nice way. I'll be like, hey, like you guys really should be practicing. Like we have this beautiful academy here. You come out like a couple times a week. It'll really help make the swing changes.
Uh-huh.
But like with the younger guys, it'll be a little bit harder on them. But yeah, okay.
But and this is the other thing too is I don't want to make it seem like because there are other coaches who are also like in this other camp that I don't think either of us are in, where it's like it should take you months before you have progress. Like you should make some progress. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to make it seem like we're too much one way or the other. Because like if somebody comes in for a lesson and they're like, hey, I want to stop really extending or I want to get shallower, like I guarantee you, I bet my life I can get you to do it in an hour. I guarantee it, I can get you to do it. Now, is it going to stick forever? Probably not, because you have to actually work on it and practice it. But if you want to make it happen, like I can absolutely do it for you. And that's one of those things where it's like it is pretty cool what you can get somebody to do quickly. So it's on one hand, like you can make change pretty quick if you do the right stuff. However, pretty quick might be a week. And it might be, okay, we can get you to do it for the first time in this lesson, and it's going to be a week or two before you can do it like by yourself. And it might be a month or two before you can do it on the course. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's a very reasonable timeline,
I think it probably depends on like what you're changing and stuff too. There's some things that are tricky, but then there's some stuff like you can clean up setup right away. I think putting's pretty easy to clean up. Wedge shots also, and then some swing dynamic stuff is easier than other stuff. But
exactly. Some things are easier than others. Cool. Should we move on to the next one?
Yeah. Is this me or you?
I think it's me. So, all right, number 5 is going to be don't let your lesson be the only time you practice. So I know we've done a lot of overlap here, but this is something I see all the time is a lot of people will come in and they'll say, now this is the hard thing too. It's like not everybody's trying to be a professional and not everybody's trying to like shoot the best scores that they can. They just kind of want to have a little bit better understanding of what's going on with their swing, and they want to have a little bit more fun playing golf. So it highly depends on your goals. But so if there's some people where it's like, hey, I only have a few hours a week of extra time, like where I can go golf, and I want to take lessons during that, and I don't have time to practice outside of that. It's like, look, I understand that. I get it. Like you're a busy guy, you have kids, you have a work, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have time to be grinding on the range, like that's cool. I understand that. But at the same time, you're not going to make as much progress as somebody who does. And you have to kind of tell that to them, right? And it's if you really want to actually make progress, like if you actually want to get like a lot better at golf and like start shaving strokes quickly. And I've had people where it's like the most fun lessons I've ever had, the most fun cases I've had is when somebody comes in and they're like, hey, I just started golf. I'm going to work really hard. They'll take 3 or 4 lessons and they're shooting like 80 or like 79, like in like a couple months. And it's like, that's crazy. Like this guy's like an athlete. He works hard. That's the most fun for me. But those people are the ones that are working hard and they're actually like practicing it outside of lessons. Right?
Yeah, those are the best students, 100%.
Exactly.
Makes your life easy, you know.
So easy. But I'm not saying that's necessarily what we can do, but I'm like, you should, if you expect to make a lot of progress, you need to be practicing in between lessons because a lot of people, they'll come in and I'll give them in the first lesson, like a lot of coaches will kind of do this tactic where they'll spend the first lesson on setup and the second lesson on the backswing and the third lesson on the downswing and the fourth lesson on this. And they'll kind of like segment things out so you keep coming back, right? But for
Mm-hmm.
me, I just like to give you as much information as possible. I'm never going to hold back information unless it's like a complete overload of things. Like I'm never going to like intentionally leave stuff out so you come back. And a lot of coaches will
Yeah.
do that, right? So it's like for me, I give a lot of information to people off the bat, right? Now I kind of give them as much as I think that they need to handle, and like obviously I don't tell them everything about the golf swing, but I give them a lot more than a lot of other coaches would do. Now the problem is if I give you all this information, and if you don't practice it at all or work on it at all, then the next lesson meeting is going to happen. We're going to work on the same
Yeah.
stuff, and
You
it's like
probably won't even remember it, you know?
exactly right. So I see so many people where it's like the only time they're practicing is when they're with me, and if they're, it's not the way to really make progress if that's your goal, right?
So I I went on this I went to this sushi course with my girlfriend or my
I
fiance.
was gonna say, congrats, man, on that. That's cool.
Thanks. Yeah, it was about time. Uh, so we went to this sushi course, right? And the lady that she was like teaching us how to make different sushi rolls and all this kind of stuff, and super professional. Like you could tell that she was like really passionate about sushi and the history and how to do it properly and this kind of stuff. And after the course, the lady said, "Hey, in the next week to 10 days, I really recommend that you guys make some sushi, because if you do within the next like week to 10 days, you're going to remember 90% of what I told you, and you're going to do it right. If you wait a month, you're going to remember maybe 50, 60%. The rest you're going to forget. If you do it in like 2, 3 months, you might as well take another sushi course because you're not going to remember this stuff." And I was like, damn, like that has a lot of overlap with like golf lessons, like
Oh,
practice the stuff that you learned in the lesson as soon as possible. If you wait too long and you don't do it, then you're not going to remember all this stuff. And if you wait way too long, you might as well have another lesson because there's no way.
totally. Like that's actually a really cool example. And I mean, this stuff is like I said before. It's not different than anything else. It's not different than cooking. It's not different than piano lessons or
Hmm.
anything else. Like you got to practice the stuff you want to get good at, and that's not something that's new. But for some reason, people think for golf it's different when it's not.
Yeah. I think the easiest hack to like make some changes to the swing, if you have a mirror, that's bonus points, but you can just make slow reps at home. Like I have this space behind me in this office here, and I, I have a mirror on the wall where there's like a closet, and I can like swing, and I can make a full swing. I can check myself in the mirror. I think it's just like I can make swing changes pretty quickly that way because I'm just able to do it slow, see what it feels like, get immediate visual feedback. If you don't have a mirror, you can use your phone or an iPad or whatever and record yourself. And it's just like you have your clubs at your house. Like you really don't have like 5, 10 minutes a day to like just like get a couple reps in,
Mm-hmm.
you
Totally.
know?
That's great. So, want to go to the next one?
Yeah. All right. So coming in at number 4 on our list, take notes, and ideally right away. I think this is builds on what we just talked about a bit. Uh, if if you can write down some things that like stood out to you in the lesson, if you have the videos that you took from the lesson, I think that's great. I think as an instructor, you should probably send them out. But uh, I saw one coach, he would always recommend using the client's phone to like record stuff. I was like, do you do that to like save memory on your phone or like what's the reason? But he's like, no, honestly, this way they just have it, and then I don't need to like send it off after. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like obviously you won't have like all the applications on there, but uh, yeah, I think taking notes right away is good. Like even write out like what kind of feels you had during the lesson, what helped you, so you can sort of revisit that when you practice.
Totally. And I think even the process of writing it down, or like you can do a voice note as well. But even the process of doing that is helpful because you're kind of showing that you understand it enough to write it down yourself and put it in your own words and just kind of like that. Even like, so like for me, this is a good example is I haven't taken a golf lesson in 5 or 6 years until this May when I went to see George Gankus, and shout out to George for all you guys who know him. And what I did was I took a lesson with him, and it was awesome. And I spent the whole day with him and just kind of watched his lessons and everything. And I was a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't have time to really go right away because I wanted to watch the rest of his lessons and just kind of be present in the moment. But on my flight home, I made a whole list of things that we talked about with my swing. And then I made some lists about other things as well, and I took some videos during the trip, right? But I have a list of things, and it's probably a bullet point of like 8 or 10 things for me to work on with my own swing. And I mean, number one, I have them all written down and organized so I look back at it. But number two, that was May, and I'm still working on some of the things in there. And it's November. And it's one of those things where if you have that information written down, you can go look back at it whenever you want. And it also helped me remember a lot. Because like when I was there, I was like, wow, like that was a lot of information I took in like in a short time span. I wonder how much of it I'm going to be able to retain. But then like the process of writing it down definitely helped me really think things through and help me retain it a lot. And I think that's kind of helpful. Like it's almost like journaling in a way. And the biggest thing is like some players that do the opposite. They'll text me a week later. Can you tell me what we did again? I forgot. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like you should have like. And the coolest thing too is I'll like you said, I'll record on their phone, or I'll just do like a summary at the end of the lesson on their phone, so they have it. That's a good thing as well. Or I'll help them make the notes during the lesson too.
Yeah. Some students like ask for that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
I had this one dude that after each lesson he'd be like, "Hey, could I just like record you like summarizing what we worked on today?" And I think that's brilliant because like then he has like that video of like, "Hey, future you, this is what you should be doing," and it's awesome.
Yeah, that's super important. That's good.
Let's hit him with number 3.
Number 3 is record yourself when you practice. So this is not necessarily pertaining to like in lesson, but this is the time outside of a lesson, which is probably just as important, right? So the hardest part is when you have somebody who's watching you while you're hitting. It's kind of helpful because it gives you some quick feedback, right? But if you don't have somebody watching you and making sure you're doing stuff right, it's very hard to know if you're doing it. So a lot of times, this is how like a good chunk of my lessons go with the people who don't make a ton of progress. Is I'll give them some stuff to work on, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm really getting it. I'm getting in the right spot." And then they'll come back for their lesson the next week later, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's the same." I don't understand. I thought I was doing it. Like I felt like I was in the right spot. Now you might have adjusted at 5 degrees instead of 35, which is okay, right? That's fine. But to know if you're really making the move exactly how you think you are, you kind of have to see some feedback. And like you mentioned before, a mirror is great. Like I started using a mirror in the last year or two, and it really helps a lot. Even for my own game or just in general, like you can really see what's going on like in real time. But mirror helps a lot. If you have a way that you can record yourself, it makes it so much easier. It's just so much easier to see if you're making progress.
For sure. I'll just build on that and record yourself from the right angle. Like, it doesn't take that long to like really get it in the right spot, get the camera in the right spot. So then you don't have to be doing like mental gymnastics of like, hey, this camera's a little bit off to the side, which is going to affect how the swing looks this way and that way. So
they definitely don't know.
Yeah, and then if you don't know, then you're cooked, you know. And even if you do know, knowing how much it's affecting it, tough, you know. So like, make sure you're filming from the right spot, the same spot, ideally, every time, so that when you do record, so you're not like tripping yourself out, being like filming too far, like behind you in like the down the line view, and then all of a sudden, man, it looks really steep. It's like, yeah, well, it has that effect. And then or filming from too far forward now, and then you're like, yeah, man, I'm getting it. It's getting super shallow. It's like, yeah, well, it could just be the camera angle. You know, so like make sure you're filming from the right spot, and then you should be good to go.
100%. That's a big factor. When I used to practice in this indoor facility, my swing looks so different because the camera was in such a different spot.
Uh-huh.
Like you have to get used to seeing that, and like the camera angle makes a big factor. There's a lot of research you can do online about that too.
So let's hit him with number two. So number two on our list of how to take golf lessons. You can make changes everywhere and not just on the range. So we touched on this a little bit, but a lot of times I almost think it's a bad thing that lessons are always on the range. Like especially when you're trying to make like a technique change. How much better off would a lot of people be if they were like not even hitting golf balls or hitting like some foam golf balls into like a net, so they're not like locked in on this sort of outcome of ball flight, and they're just focusing on some sort of swing change outcome. But like I mentioned, the mirror work I think is brilliant. You can find 10-15 minutes at home, to just like grab a club and just like get a few reps in of what you're trying to work on. I think it's super easy. It's not that time consuming. Um, like the foam balls in the backyard, especially if you're making some swing changes, I think is great.
Totally. I always find it interesting how like you'll see a lot of high level coaches, and you'll watch them give an hour lesson, and like maybe 6 balls are hit during the lesson over an hour,
Hmm.
right? Like it's a lot more like explanation and getting you in spots and like a much more conversation and like not really focusing that much on the ball flight if that's what's needed, right? Like if you got a pro and they're saying, "Hey, I want you to look at this ball flight," that's completely different, right? But if
Hmm.
it's a lot of times you the ball is more of a distraction and a hindrance than it is helpful sometimes. Um,
Yeah, it's crazy how people treat it as like this uh, end all be all on the range. That kind of blows my mind because those aren't even the golf balls that you play. Half of them are just like banged up and different. They're not even like consistent to that. If you have a range where the golf balls are consistent to themselves, that's awesome because like
that's
not
important.
all the ranges are like that. In fact, I would say most aren't that I've seen. Uh, the place we're at, they have some like limited flight, kind of squishier range balls, which is super great because the spin numbers, especially on the irons, are pretty similar to like your actual spin. Same with the launch, and you can launch the wedges low, which like the launch windows for the wedges are similar too. And it's just like we are so blessed to have that because like I'll go to other ranges and there's just these rocks, and they're all like the dimples aren't even there, and one ball will come out this way, one ball will come out this way. They'll just be launching completely different because some of them will grab and some of them will just slide up off the club face, especially on like some of the wedge shots. And to be tied up into that outcome is like insane to me. But that's what we are because we're so like you know ball focused that then it, it's it doesn't even make sense because like you're trying to make a swing change or something like that and you're focused on some golf balls that aren't even consistent to themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. That's very important. And like at the same time, like once again, I don't want to make it seem like we're so much into a certain camp. Like the ball is important, like what both doing is important, but there's a time and place for it. Like it is important to listen to the ball. If your ball is slicing, that tells you what you should be doing, right? And if your ball is hooking, that tells you what you should be doing. So
Hmm.
that is important. The ball, I never want it to seem like I'm one of those coaches who's like, screw the ball. I want you to go in a cave and work for this for a month.
At the end of the actual golf ball, like that you're playing on the course, that is the ground truth, right?
Yeah,
But if you're trying to make swing changes, probably not the thing you should be looking at. And I wouldn't put too much weight into what the golf ball is always doing on the range, depending on like the quality of the golf balls there.
totally, totally. That's super important because like when I was a kid, I used to take lessons, and my coach would have a TrackMan, and I'd hit a ball and it'd be off to the left, and he'd pull up the thing. And so well, actually, if you normalize this, like it's half that left, and
Yeah,
it's like the wind, and like there's so many other factors too. Like when you're hitting like balls in the range and it's like 30 miles an hour into the wind, like with a bad range ball, like good luck. Like you're not going to be hitting it very good.
You could do anything. So when I first got the TrackMan, I had some numbers that were like definitely fade numbers. Like face was whatever 1 degree left, path was 3 degrees left. You know, like that thing should have faded, and then the TrackMan reads that, and then it shows like a tiny little draw, and I was like sending it to uh, some people that I know that like understand the TrackMan. And I was like, hey, like what is this? Like this doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, and he's like, oh, maybe you hit it off the toe, and I was like, no, like I hit it solid. Like I don't know why it's came out as a draw when and like it could have been wind, could have been the golf ball was kind of wonky, could have been a lot of things, you know.
Yeah, totally. That's definitely a big factor. It's important. Cool. All right, so should we do the last one here? We probably could have done this. This is probably not the number one most important thing, so we could have maybe ordered these a little differently, but this is still a good one. Be willing to step away from the course for a little bit if you need to. Now, I'm a big proponent of, hey, learn how to play golf, learn how to get your golf ball in the hole. If your goal is to score, if I'm going to say, hey, my next 6 months here, I want to learn how to score the best I can. Now, you can spend a very little time thinking about swing mechanics for that. Like, you're just trying to learn how to get your ball in the hole. But if your goal is, okay, over these next 6 months, I want to stop early extending. I want to really fix that. I want to stop humping the ball so much. And I want to really just get that done for the next few months here. It might be beneficial for you to take a little bit of time off of playing. Because the problem is when you go play, it's probably going to – there's usually some level of reverting back to old patterns that happens when you go play. And if you do this whole seesaw where it's like I work in it for an hour and it's good, then I go on the course and it goes back, and then I work in it for an hour and it's good, and I go back. You know what I mean? It's not as easy to get done. Now, could you do it and could you still make it happen? Yeah, but it just might take you a little longer.
Yeah, for sure. It always like bugs me a little bit when somebody's trying to make a big swing change, and then I was like, hey, like I check in with him, like you working on the move, how's it going? He's like, oh, I went to go play today. It's like, okay, like I'm not saying you shouldn't play golf, like that's like the
I
last
don't
thing I'm
mind
saying,
that.
right?
Yeah,
But it's like, dude, you're like grinding on this swing change, and then instead of like, and just like what you said, as soon as you go play, it's like it's gonna revert a little bit, you know. The opposite's also true. Is like when somebody has like a bunch of like tournaments in a row and they want to make a big swing change. It's like this doesn't even make sense, dude. I don't want to fuck you up before your tournament. Like this might take a little while to get. You're probably not gonna feel comfortable with it, and then you're gonna go try to play like under pressure with that. Like I don't know if that's the best idea. Uh, so and it also depends on like how important are the tournaments and stuff. Is it just like a for fun tournament somewhere? Or are you playing for money or whatever? But um, yeah, I think if you're trying to make some sort of change, a big one, especially like it, probably a good idea to step off the course, in my opinion, for a little while to try to groove a pattern.
yeah. For big changes, like if it's like, hey, I want to tweak my grip a little bit, or hey, I want to get my club a little bit more laid off at the top, like go
Hmm.
play on the go see what that's like on the course. See if you can do it. Like I don't mind
Yeah,
that, but like if it's like a big change, you were like, okay, like, I really want to get this done, and this is
yeah.
something.
If you're changing like your whole pivot, then probably groove that,
Right,
before you go
right,
start ripping 120-mile-an-hour drivers on the course.
right. Now it's probably not going to set you back a ton, I would say, but it's not going to send you more in the right direction. Like for
Hmm.
most people, like I mean, it might set you back a little bit, but honestly, probably not that much. Like when people say it to me, like they go, oh, like it depends on who they are. If it's just a 40-year-old guy just trying to enjoy golf more, and he tells me, hey, I want to play it, I don't mind it. That's just what he wants to do with his time. But like if it's like a pro, then they first off they probably don't do that as much. But like I mean, there's a spectrum because not many pros are making big massive swing changes.
Yeah, well, I think it might mess you up. Like if you're used to playing a certain way and swinging a certain way, and now you're trying to make a swing change, now some of those matchups that you had before to make it functional with that change, if you're not doing maybe two things or three things, then it might not be super functional yet. So then now you start like blending two different patterns, and you might, and going on in the course, you might play bad, then you like get in the cycle of like, oh no, now it's like worse, and what do I do? And it's like, hey, like lock in for a little bit and groove it, and then maybe try it on the course. But
Totally. Yeah, it all depends on what you're doing, but you're 100% right. Like the swing
yeah,
is a bunch of matchups, and if you mess up one of them, it could take you a second.
sometimes yeah, I heard that from a really good player back in Minnesota. He was like, hey man, sometimes when you change one thing, you got to change two things.
Yeah. Oh, Chris Cuomo talks about that. You always got to make two changes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
nice.
and then this is one thing too. It's a little bit like it kind of relates to this is, and the golf coaches ate this up, and you saw it all over social media for a while. Is I think it was either this offseason or last offseason. Rory was quoted saying, "Hey, I just spent 2 or 3 days just hitting into a screen with no launch monitor, just trying to do mechanics." Like, and he's the best player in the world, or one of the best, and he spent 2 or 3 days away from the course because he decided that's what he wanted to do because he wanted to work on mechanics. And like, that could be a good option for a lot of people if you're trying to make some changes.
Dude, this is a little off subject, but I don't think Bryson even plays. So I heard from somebody that knows his caddy real well that like Bryson doesn't even like play golf. Like right before a tournament, he might play a little bit, but he's like this dude is just like repeating motion with with a launch monitor with a sim, just trying to like get the same numbers over and over and over and over again. So he's like 10:30 is this. Full swing is this. Driver does this. And just like these are the launch, this is the spin, same thing over and over and over again. And he's just trying to like using like Sportsbox AI, making sure nothing's changing too much. And dude just like never plays. It's just like a numbers game for him. I thought that was super interesting that like you can have that approach and be like one of the best golfers in the world.
Totally, I mean, it is crazy. Like, I mean, like Dustin Johnson. I remember hearing him. He's a complete opposite. He'd be like, "Yeah, I just go hit balls for 20 minutes and go play every day." Like,
Yeah.
and he's, I mean,
Well,
career-wise, he's been relatively similar to Bryson. Like, they probably have like comparable careers, right?
yeah.
Like what, 2 or 3 majors each, and then right, like, it's interesting how that works, but they have completely different like different outlooks on that. And it's, I mean, Tiger, I think is probably more towards the Bryson angle, but I'm sure he played too. But like, he hit a lot of balls. I know.
Yeah.
Tiger was one of those guys where he hit a ton. Was it? I think it was Ben Hogan or Sam Snead, one of the two. They said every day that he spent not touching a golf club, it took him that many days to get it back, or something like that. So it's
Yo.
Go ahead. Yeah, is that what it was?
That's interesting. My parents they coach biathlon,
Uh-huh.
and they always said that however many like weeks you take off, like if you're sick or something like that, and it'll take you twice as long to get it back,
Yeah.
to get back to where you were. That's but yeah, it's the same as I guess everything else. Golf's no different.
Yeah, seriously. That's people make golf into this big different thing. In some ways, it is different for sure. But the philosophy is to make you successful in one, often make you successful in golf too.
For sure.
Cool. Well, this isn't. I mean, might have been about an hour, been a little long, but
Yeah.
probably wrap
Well,
it up.
I think we'll chop it up a little bit, and
Yeah.
it'll be nice and user friendly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, get them with a little outro. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully, you guys got something out of this. I want you guys to take notes. Remember on this? I'm kidding. But seriously, but hopefully, give you some good stuff where you guys know what to work on, or know how to work on things and how to take lessons. And hopefully, this is also kind of a way you can test your coaches and see if they're the right coach for you. And every coach is different.
Ask why.
Ask why. Ask questions. Ask if they can give you measurable ways that you can see if you're making progress. Ask them to make a summary for you. And the other thing too is that we didn't talk about this as well. Is don't be afraid to like if you don't feel like a coach is like if they don't do this stuff for you, don't be afraid to leave them. You know what I mean? A lot of people like if you feel like you're heading in the right direction, and if you like the direction that your swing is going, and you like what your coach is saying, then stick with it. But if you have a coach and you're like, dude, like I don't understand what he's saying to me. This doesn't make any sense. Like just leave him. Go somewhere else. There's a lot of other coaches out there, and there's plenty of other people that will come to that guy too. So don't feel bad about it. A lot of times, like some of my like players who would go like, oh, they took a couple lessons with me and they went to somebody else afterwards. They'd feel weird about like coming up to me or saying hi to me. I'm like, dude, like I don't care at all. Like if you do whatever's
Yeah.
best for you, you know what I mean. That's kind of a little bit of a tangent too, but like that's the other thing as well. Is don't be afraid to like don't be rude and don't be like combative, but don't be afraid to put them to the test a little bit and make sure you understand what's going on and make sure they know what they're doing.
Yeah, it's your money at the end of the
It
day,
is your money, and it's a lot of money. It's
and your time.
and golf lessons are not cheap. So if you're going to spend the money, make sure you're doing it in the right place. And, hopefully, we gave you some good ways that you guys can kind of make sure you're doing that. So once again, I'm Justin Seymour, Justin Seymour Golf on Instagram, and TikTok, and go ahead.
I'm Hanza at Hanza Golfs on Instagram and on YouTube.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
Peace. That was good.